one. I'm gonna get mine. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't tell me how you're all been down. When you're smiling in my face, but you play me like a clown. It's your fool, bitch. So just step back. I'm mad that when I come down straight. I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises all the time. Don't cross the line, and you know it's mine. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who's yelling in the back?
That's the theme song. Who you want to roll with? Who you want to roll with, huh? You like this music? What do you think? It's pretty good, huh? Pretty good music there, huh?
Oh, I can't hear you. There's somebody yelling in the background.
All right.
What is that?
That's music.
Who?
That's music.
Hmm.
That's good music, isn't it?
No, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
No,
Why?
I just don't like it. I have my own likes.
What do you like?
I like different music than you.
Like what?
I like, what is that? I like Eddie Duchin.
Okay.
I like, who's that guy that sings? His son used to work in Bell Labs.
Gibby Haynes.
Who?
Gibby Haynes.
Oh. Is he a good singer?
Yeah.
Yeah. His father, we watch him on TV a lot. I like Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie.
Yeah. You don't like him?
Yeah, sure. I like Lionel Richie. Why not?
Yeah, he's good. He writes his own music and everything. Did you watch the fireworks on TV last night?
No, I went to the fireworks.
Oh, where did they have it?
I went to Parsippany,
Hmm.
and then we went to I went to Bayonne. Had fireworks.
Bayonne? Where they have fireworks in Bayonne?
Yep.
Where, the park?
Yeah, 16th Street Park.
Oh. Hmm. Denise went with you?
No, she didn't go.
No. Hmm. We had a lot of fireworks around here, but I didn't go out. I don't go out near these nuts that shooting everybody, and it's not worth it.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah, dangerous. They killed this little boy this morning. He was 7 years old. He used to play on the ball field. And well, he was bitten by a dog. But there was a lot of young kids that were killed during the fireworks. So I like to stay in. I'm on my air conditioning, and that's it. You have air conditioning in your house?
Downstairs, yeah.
Oh. And what do you do?
I sweat.
Why don't you get an air conditioner for yourself?
I have a little window air conditioner I use.
Mm. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now the sun is out. We had a little bit rain here before. It's like 96 degrees. Very hot. They said yesterday was the hottest day on record.
Really?
Yeah. In the world.
Wow.
Hmm. They're saying you shouldn't go outside. You should drink water every 20 minutes. I don't want to be bothered with that crap.
Right. Right. Too much work to go
Thunder
outside.
here.
It's a lot of work to go outside.
Any thunder?
Yeah, we had all that.
You did? Hmm. Wow. Did you go to any barbecues?
No.
No. Hmm. They showed this shark on TV, and they never found ever found teeth like that in the ocean before.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Who was related to Helen? Was it Raymond or Fanny?
Wait, who? Say it again.
Helen.
Who was related?
Helen.
Raymond was her son.
Raymond was her son. Right. Okay.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Got it. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he was a nut job.
How was Grandma related to Helen?
Was it her sister?
They were sisters.
Yeah. Henny was her brother.
So Henny was Grandma and Helen's brother.
Yeah.
And where's Helene? What happened to Helene?
You know something? She's a nut job too. I don't know. She lives in that apartment on 51st Street. She still lives there.
She does?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember one time when Grandma was alive, she invited her over and she never came. She was her real father was a Moorcraft. Well, if you got any questions about anybody, you better ask me while I'm still alive. Because I like to ask a lot of questions, and the people that I want to ask are all dead. Like Auntie Irene, I'd like to know about my grandmother and grandfather, and my Uncle Chester. Yeah, that was Chet's father. And that was my mother's other brother. Uncle Johnny that lived in Tom's River, that was her brother. She had a big family. I think the grandmother had 10 children.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think my father, his mother and father had 10 children. So they all had like a lot of kids. I don't think anybody's left now. And Uncle Chester used to play the harmonica.
Right.
And they had another brother that used to play some type of instrument. I told you one grandmother from my father's side was from either Hungary or Austria, and the grandfather was from either Austria or Hungary. So that's all I know about anybody. I never knew my grandmother or grandfather. So,
Where were they?
they were dead.
Oh, they were dead.
Yeah, they were all dead. I think my grandmother had my mother when she was like 45 years old. So my mother was really a late baby. So I didn't know them when I was that little. I wasn't even born yet. I had a lot of aunts and uncles, but now they're all dead. And my grandmother and grandfather at my mother's side were from Poland.
Okay.
So that's the story. That's what I can tell you. If you have any questions, call me and ask me. If I know, I'll tell you. Tell you what I know.
Yeah, Christian wanted to know how we were all related.
Oh. And Irene had two sisters that are buried in Staten Island that are dead. So his father, Steve Kosher, my father was his uncle. Sammy Kosher was Steve Kosher's uncle, and my mother was his aunt. You got it now?
What was your father's name?
What?
What was your father's name?
Francis.
Oh.
They used to call him Sammy, though,
Oh.
as a nickname. So Christian, he's a blood relative.
Right. Okay, just
Yeah,
wondered.
my mother and father were his aunt and uncle. So if you have any other questions, let me know. I'll see if I can figure it out for you.
Okay.
All right? All right, so I'm going to go now. I'm going to go watch the news.
What are you going to watch, Trump?
What?
What are you going to watch, Trump?
No, I can't stand him. No way.
Why,
you like him?
You think he's going to win?
No.
No?
No. You like him?
Who do you think's going to win?
What?
Who do you think is going to win?
I don't know who's running yet. They didn't come out with all the people that are running. I know Christie dropped out. He was going to run and then change his mind.
He dropped out?
I think he did. I think I heard them say that. I don't know.
He just started.
Hmm?
Christie just started.
I know. Maybe he changed his mind. Maybe he's going to run. I don't know.
He just jumped in.
Yeah, maybe that guy that's in Florida, the governor, maybe he'll run.
All Christie wants to do is attack Trump.
I don't know. I don't like Trump. I think he's a big phony. So.
They're all phonies.
I know. All right. So, if you want any more questions answered, just let me know.
Okay.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye. All right. That was my mom. That was pretty cool. You never know when she's going to pop in like that. That's cool. She lives down in Florida. So, I'll tell you what. Uh-oh, what's this? Oh. Yeah, that was dude, that was a message from like a month ago. Wait, when was this message? When was this message? June 20th, bro. June 20th, and now you're answering saying, "Oh, you never hit send." You're funny. You're funny. I never hit send. That's great. Stoner time. I love stoner time. Who? Who? Oh, come on. Who? Oh, God. Who? Now you're making me bite. Who? Clickbait. I want to know who. Who? What's in Westfield? Oh. Oh. Whoa. Ah. What? Whoa. Yo. Yo. What the? Well, you just happened to call me while I'm doing the news. That's funny. You just happened to call me or text me while I'm doing the news. What a good story. What a great story to start with. What the hell? All right, Westfield. Oh, boy. Westfield police chief announces the arrest of a resident following a 14-hour-long standoff. July 6th. What? This just happened. Are you kidding me? Westfield Police Chief Christopher Bataloro has announced the arrest of Michael P. Ward, 41, of the 1500 block of the Boulevard early this morning following a 14-hour-long standoff with officers who responded to his residence on a report of a domestic dispute in progress. Chief Bataloro stated that officers responded to a 911 call from the residence on Wednesday, July 5th at 3:39 p.m. This was the second response to this residence on this date for a domestic dispute, reportedly. Upon the officers' approach, they could hear arguing inside and were met at the front door by Ward, who was brandishing a large kitchen knife 12 inches in length. He was holding it above his head with the blade pointed outwards towards the officers. Oh. The officers demanded that Ward drop the knife, but he refused, ordered they leave, stated they would have to shoot in order for him to relinquish it. He then retreated back inside the residence. The door was subsequently opened by Ward's mother, and officers instructed those present inside to exit the residence, leaving only Ward inside the home. Oh my. Oh my. Hi, Tony. Tony, I'm reading a story here about Michael Ward.
I'm listening.
This is insane. Oh. Wow. Officers then learned that earlier Ward had grabbed his wife around the throat, applying pressure to it, cutting off her breathing, and agreed only to stop if she called the police. Ward indicated to officers that it was his intent to draw a police response and to then die by suicide by cop. Chief Bataloro stated that Westfield Police Department officers secured the area and the SWAT team was requested to respond. Negotiators initiated and continued hours on, long and off, communications with Ward that were unable to convince him to voluntarily leave the residence. He was subsequently taken into custody at 5:31 a.m. this morning when SWAT made entry. He is currently detained pending further proceedings. He is charged with 1 count of aggravating assault, 1 count of terroristic threats, 1 count of possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, 1 count of unlawful possession of a weapon, and 3 endangering welfare of children. Whoa. So the people that responded were Union County prosecutors, Union County Sheriff, Westfield Volunteer Rescue, the fire department, the Department of Public Works to shut off the power, the medical services, Office of OEM. Wow. And now, by the way, Tony, if you're listening, these criminal charges are mere accusations. It says it right here. They're mere accusations. Every defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and these are mere accusations. Wow. Well, that's a fun news story to start the show. If you don't remember, Michael Ward used to come to the police stations with me, do the Ignorance is No Excuse tour.
Oh, yeah, I thought I recognized that name.
I haven't seen him in 10 years. He came to the State House a few times.
When did this happen last night?
This just happened this morning.
Jesus.
Wow. So yeah, cannabis does help some things, but not everything, apparently.
Well, yeah, the question is like what was he on and what was he going through that he got to that point?
Yeah. I mean, he always had some issues, but he had issues with the police before coming to his house or something, too. He didn't like the police too much. And when you're talking about suicide by cop, whoa, wait, slow it down there. Isn't that what Jesus did? So Jesus did suicide by cop?
I don't know if that would qualify.
Does that qualify?
I mean,
he stopped it.
What he did was talk trash about the politics and talk trash about the church, and they let him get away with it. But then he started flipping the money lenders' tables over, and 7 days later they killed him. I don't know if that would be suicide, though.
Couldn't he have saved himself?
Well, he would have, but he wouldn't have been able to make the point that he was trying to make. So maybe I guess you're right. Maybe he did.
I'll have to bring it up to my pastor on a good day. I'll be like, Lefty, these questions. Did the liberals tell you to say that? See, my problem, Tony, is I'm too liberal for my conservative friends, and I'm too conservative for my liberal friends. I'm stuck in the middle. Everybody's mad at me now because I'm not liberal for him.
All those labels can, pardon my language, go to hell.
I'm supposed to believe everything the liberals say now because I'm supposed to be liberal. Well, no, I don't. And then my conservative friends are like, how come we don't believe this, believe that? I'm like, oh, geez. I think for myself, I'm not a sheeple.
They're all complete hypocrites and completely corrupt.
It's pretty amazing.
Remember when the liberal Democrats were anti-war and they hated George W. Bush and they hated Dick Cheney and they were anti-war. And then Donald Trump got elected, and they used Donald Trump to pull all of the Democrats into the anti-war Bush League.
Yeah.
And now they're all super pro-war. And if you talk anything about the Ukraine war, they go crazy on you because there has to be a war, and we have to be at war with Russia. It's amazing that that sleight of hand that they did to turn all of those anti-war Democrats into the biggest pro-warmongers I've ever seen.
That and the First Amendment. It used to be the Democrats were pro First Amendment.
Oh yeah, and they're all cancel culture now.
Now it's the other way around.
Amazing. It's amazing how we watched in our short lifetime that completely fucking reverse. Mind control, Lefty. Mind control.
What I like to see is a Republican who's for cannabis in New Jersey. I like to see that. It's a good barometer as a politician.
That'll happen as soon as there's a Republican that's not taking pharma money.
Yeah. Well, I like Ed the trucker.
No, yeah, I don't know. I
He's
haven't been in Jersey that long.
He beat Sweeney. He's the one who beat Sweeney.
Oh, nice.
And he's a truck driver, very blue collar guy. And he won. He won again. So he's back in there. He supports home grow for patients. Me and Jim actually went to his fundraiser, spoke with him, and he's for medical because Tina, his chief of staff, her daughter is a patient with epilepsy.
Well, and that's usually what it takes. You got to have a family member or a close connection.
Right. Tina came to the State House many times. We all know her well. So the fact that she's his chief of staff, we were like, wow, that was amazing. Small world. So, Tony, are you all ready for Monday, Cannabis Patient Awareness Day?
Well, I'm as ready as I'm going to be. I'm somewhat dejected by how little of a turnout I'm afraid I'm going to have because everybody that said they were coming is backing out because they're lazy and won't drive to Sacramento. But I will be there.
How far is Sacramento from you?
It's like 2.5 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm still working on recruiting some people to actually show up. But the newspaper called me today and we sent him that nice press release, which he thanked us for. And I will be there nonetheless, even if I'm the only loser there. I'll be there doing it because I'm going to be on the State House lawn in California.
We'll be out in Jersey. We'll be out in Oregon and Nebraska. Actually, there's going to be at least 2 people in Nebraska protesting at the State House out there.
Yeah, State House, good.
That's amazing.
But yeah, well, Nebraska's a big one because they're a tough land.
Man, they got nothing out there.
They still not even have medical.
No, and Bill's going to call. Actually, I have to give Bill a call. Let's give Bill a call now.
Let's do it.
Farmer Bill. Let's call Farmer Bill. Doesn't sound like it's working. All right, hold on, Bill. I'm trying to get my phone working. Bill, can you hear me? All right, good. Come on. You hooked up? What's going on here? It says connected here. Got nothing here. We're not going to be using this one. We're not going to be using the telephone interface. Oh, we did lose connection. Here we go. Yeah, we did. It's not connected. Now it's connected. Let's see if it's working now. Hi, Bill. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All
Sorry, I was
right.
charging my phone.
What's going on, Bill? Bill Hawkins from actually Farmer Bill from Nebraska. Tony, can you hear Farmer Bill?
I got you, Bill, loud and clear. Nice to see you and hear you.
Good deal. I'm glad to be on the line with you folks.
So, Bill, we were saying you're one of the few state houses in the United States that actually has a permit, and you guys are going to go out to your state house and fight for your rights that you've been doing for 15 years. You've been going out there and fighting for your rights in Nebraska because you got nothing out there in Nebraska. You're fighting for crumbs out there.
Well, yes and no, because originally, right after the war on drugs was declared, we were one of the 6 or 7 states that decriminalized.
Oh, okay.
So, but then it was bumped up by the alcohol lobby to a $300 fine. It's still a ticket. We take 1,000 people a year through our Lincoln court system, just decriminalized. So it didn't do much.
Wait, so it was decriminalized, then it wasn't?
Well, no, it's decriminalized, but they still give you a ticket. You still have to go to court. You still have to pay a fine. And so, it still ties up the court systems and makes you a criminal.
What about growing?
So,
can you grow weed out there, or what's the penalty for that?
Well, being a ganja farmer for over 50 years, yeah, you can, but there are penalties. I don't know. I'm sure it's a penalty.
Well, you got
Yeah.
you got the USDA laws now that are protecting people pretty well, although you got to keep your THC lower than 0.03, they say.
Sure, and so we have industrial hemp, and in our Nebraska Hemp Farming Act, it states that our heirloom hemp, which is our ditchweed that we've been known for decades, is a national or a treasure of Nebraskans. Genetically, it has a whole bunch of it's a genetic treasure trove, and so if it is not cultivated for commercial purposes, it's not part of our Hemp Farming Act. And what that was included in the bill, so that if you're farming an industrial hemp little square and you have ditchweed over in the ditch, you're not in trouble for it. But as a wildcrafter and a herbalist, I can gather out of the wild. And so if I don't cultivate it, therefore I can harvest it. So we play with all kinds of things out here. If you know the law and help write laws, then, it's better to be well informed.
That's interesting. So you can you can harvest, but you don't necessarily have to cultivate.
No, and our ditchweed grows 10 foot tall without any help. And if you add genetics every once in a while, you can improve the genetics. And so, it'd be very interesting to look at some of the cannabinoid content of some of our ditchweed, and just how it's adapted over, probably over 100 years of introduction.
Is there any testing available out there to just test your terps, test your levels?
Yep. And so that's the gray area, because you can't get licensed, or I'm not going to get licensed because I'm not going to deal with their bureaucracy. So then you're not permitted, so you can't actually take a sample to get it tested. And I don't know if we've actually, because it's the devil weed with deep roots in hell, I don't even know if we've had a testing lab set up yet in this state because we send it out for testing. Because as you know, if it tests over 0.3% it has to be in a DEA approved lab, or it'll explode and destroy the whole planet if it gets over 0.3% THC. Not really, folks, but that's how we play it.
I heard Satan will appear. He'll actually appear out of this thin air.
Sure, that's how it comes to states where you can't grow it or sell it. It just appears in your hand. It just, I don't know where it came from.
Yeah, the seed fairy.
The seed fairy, for sure.
We have that in New Jersey. We have the seed fairy.
I bet. Yeah, it's just insane. Having become educated on this war on drugs, this prohibition, and just the insanity against this plant, it's just mind-boggling at times.
We're still fighting ignorant police chiefs here in New Jersey.
Sure, I would balance to see who has the most ignorant, but the statements are all the same. The dangers of drug driving, the potency, and the children.
The children.
The children.
The children.
We had a state senator that stated in a public hearing in our Judiciary Committee, I think may have been during our first medical bill, that a gummy would kill a child. And the whole public hearing room erupted with crazy shouts and screaming and all kinds of stuff. And I was thankful. I just sat calmly and just said, "Thank you, dear Lord," because it just helps our cause. We had our Governor Ricketts, he's now our congressman, bought and paid for, made a statement that if we legalize medical marijuana, it will kill the kids in the streets. And I was in the rotunda of our Capitol, 15 feet in front of him, right behind the TV camera. And that made international news. So, our new governor just came in and made the statement that marijuana is a threat to every person in Nebraska. So he's even crazier.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. But at that point, I had 6 tables of hemp displays, big jars of weed, hemp, and mannequins with hemp suits, big giant bundles of hemp stalks that scraped the ceiling, and I'd been in there for 2 weeks. So, that's just how it is. So, we've been having fun here in Nebraska, I will say. But I don't want to take up the whole conversation.
Well,
surely you guys have things going on in your states.
Well, Farmer Bill, when was the first time you smoked weed?
It would be in probably 1971. So I've got over 50 years of real life cannabis consumption, and it was probably in the summer, about 71. But the first time I got off was in the fall at a football game. It must take a few times, and I guess that is true because my friend and I, we were walking up into the stands, and all of a sudden we looked at each other, and it was that time-space continuum thing is like, whoa, Look out. And because I'm an entrepreneur, I was already in the process of selling weed. And my senior year, we were selling weed out of our lockers, and um, from then on. And at times I've quit because it's not legal, and you just got to get those feelings. And but as an entrepreneur, I grew plants, and for real, I I did hundreds of tie sticks one year, one summer, and I got a seed out of a tie stick that I grew into a plant. So right before I got my farm, I had a Colombian gold, Acapulco gold,
Oh,
a tie plant,
oh man.
and all growing in my backyard in Lincoln.
Oh man.
And yeah, I had it all. And then a year or two after that, my buddy Spike at City Forestry said, here's some seeds. It's supposed to be from this government facility. I had 8 seeds of G13, the real stuff, short indica, just finished in September and just put you down in forever. And had that for about 7 years before it deteriorated when I first got my farm in 1980. And so all those genetics that created all the strains that are here now, all those old school genetics, were in my hand in 1978 to 1980 here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So when they say if you legalize pot, it's going to be all of a sudden it's going to show up, it's not true. It's not true at all.
What do you mean it deteriorated?
Oh, just because I have so much ditchweed that I couldn't keep the seeds pure,
Oh, oh wow. Okay.
and my back original one strain, or first year, second year, they got rancid, and so I couldn't go back, and I lost my genetics,
Oh shit.
and I had to pull all those. That tie plant, it was showing male, but it may have been a hermaphrodite, but that's still the most spaciest. I hung. Oh, I came home for lunch one time, and there's Joe Friday and in that whatever dragnet car sitting in my alley
Oh, no.
looking up at these plants.
Oh no.
So I come home that night, throw them in my 52 Ford Chevy pickup, and I crossed Lincoln with them in the back under a car, took them in my parents' whatever bomb shelter and hung them. And because of the era, I made brickweed because that's what I was getting. So I took all that weed and I put it in paper sacks and pressed it into my own bricks. Just crazy. Yeah, nothing about kind weed or anything. That wasn't even invented yet. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I could have left 10, 15 years ago, 15 years ago when both my parents died of cancer. I took care of them for 5 years. Then I learned legalization and all this medicine and hemp, and I go, well, it's going to be easy to legalize this stuff. You can make concrete out of it. That didn't happen. But I chose not to move. And it's been difficult with other states legal, and my knowledge of genetics and breeding and real plants. I've grown plants, trees, thousands of tomatoes, all kinds of stuff. So I know plants really. And it's been tough not to have acres of giant Christmas trees of every variety just breeding and just consuming cannabis legally. But whatever. We do what we do.
Did your parents get to use cannabis?
No, See, my dad had liver and lung cancer, and he was in had neuropathy, so much pain from the chemo and everything, and I had to bathe him for 3 years, and just, and then afterwards, I learned about legalization, and I could have been giving him brownies or something and made his life so much better, whether it, helped cure him or whatever. But I learned so much about the evils of pharmaceutical drugs and these doctors that are just practicing, and all that shit. And so, and I'd already been an herbalist and stuff, so I learned a lot. And I got very educated, and I'm good at being in the legislature, and I can talk with Attorney General, whoever. Let's go, because I research.
Yeah, when you ask these doctors what's in the chemo chemicals,
Sure,
they don't.
that's the only drug that doctors are allowed to purchase wholesale and sell retail, and have a financial interest in the chemotherapy labs. So, yeah, you bet.
Wow.
And it don't work that well. Yeah, that's the only other drugs they aren't allowed to be anywhere close to profiting from. Yeah, and so my mom, because she saw what it did to my dad, didn't want anything to do with chemotherapy. So, her doctor, who was her oncologist, but also the chemo pusher, didn't really have much to do with her. Didn't want anything to do with her, really, because he couldn't profit from her. Yeah, I've seen it all. I've been there. In helping get the first medical cannabis bill introduced, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago or so, 8 years ago, and watching all the testimonies and everything, and seeing all the opposition, we made a mistake when we made the medicinal claim. We should have kept it a ancient medicinal herb and not gotten into the pharmaceutical battle. And that, I think, probably came from we have my partner Frank, who you talked with. He Patients Without Time or Out of Time or something. He was involved with that, where we've got a can that that original glaucoma patient had 300 cannabis cigarettes shipped to him in a metal can every month. And so he was allowed 10 or 1 gram marijuana cigarettes a month. And, from that start, it was a mistake. If it was still the hippies' herbal medicine, we wouldn't be in such a problem with the pharmaceuticals, but they know what's going on now.
Hi, Pearson. How you doing, buddy? Are you in Alaska today, or are you back in the continent?
I am in Alaska. I'm
Nice.
actually going to pick up 3 death machines, otherwise known as 3-wheelers, and bring them up to my property.
Nice.
Watch out for those 3-wheelers.
Yeah, those 3-wheelers are dangerous.
I have a very large scar on my chest from a 3-wheeler.
No kid.
No, you put your leg down and it'll eat it. That's experience too.
I put my leg down and it kicked sideways, and I hit a mailbox, and the mailbox tore my chest open.
Oh man, yeah. Okay, so be careful.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. I don't see myself riding them very often, but I need to get like a side-by-side. But yeah, most of the roads up on my property now are I have a mile of road that we put in since the snow melted. Really cool. I get excited just talking about it, or thinking about it. But yeah, I just wanted to pop on real quick. I actually have 3 meetings all at the same time, all at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is wild to me. But I just wanted to pop in. I wish I was able to get on a little sooner, but as I was logging on, I realized that I could re-listen to the meetings for the event on YouTube. You keep them up on YouTube, correct? You're
Yes.
streaming right now. Cool. Yeah, so the point of making cannabis medicinal, I strongly agree with that being our not something that benefited us in the long run. I think it's something that was able to get through the powers that be then, but now it's just a bunch of red tape and yeah, like they have, like up here in Alaska, they have the alcohol marijuana control office, and yeah, so they would be out a bunch of jobs if, or there wouldn't be the jobs there if they just decriminalized it completely. Or, yeah, I just want to say I agree with the point that I came on hearing. Is that O'Leary? The first patient?
Oh, was that his name? I think so. Yeah.
Yes, Alice. So the Veterans Action Council just had Allison, his wife, on our roundtable discussion last Friday.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, but the reason I wanted to hop on real quick, I know we're getting close to it. Is there anything specific that you would like me to bring up in the like Alaska related, or what kind of key points would you like me to bring up, or is it a Q&A roundtable? I'm not even sure what the layout is.
Yeah, we're gonna try to get 15 minutes out of everybody, and then after that, there'll be questions and answers.
Cool.
But yeah, you can come on earlier and stay later.
Awesome.
But you'll definitely get your time at that time. Weed Man, are you on the phone? Can you hear me? Hold on. I lost you. Hold on. There we are. Can you hear me?
We got Ed tapping in.
Yeah, I hear you.
There he is.
I hear you.
There he is. Hey, what's up, Ed?
I don't know, man. Out of the clear blue sky, I got a text and something, and people talking about this nut job in North Jersey. And I'm like, whoa, that actually remembers this guy. So I sent him to you.
Oh my God.
And I don't know if you talked about it yet on your show or not. But that guy brought back memories. When I said that he was crazy and listen, I ain't scared of nothing. I have a whole history of me not being afraid of this, that, or the other. But that guy scared me. He had me filing charges. He had me looking under my car because he threatened to blow my car up one time with me in it. So then every time I got in my car for weeks, I checked my car. He went to my mom's house. I had to tell my mom about it. Like, the dude said nutty shit. I filed cyber charges against him in 2 different towns.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Remember that?
That's right.
I went through all kinds of shit with that guy.
Oh.
I still can't believe somebody would send me a message talking about Mike needs help. Would you help him? What?
Would you help him?
That dude scared me. That dude had mental problems 6, 7 years ago. He didn't just get these mental problems. He's had it for a long time. He's had all kinds of issues. He threatened me. He threatened my mom. He threatened my family. He had me scared. He threatened people that I know.
Oh, man.
Like, ooh. No, I didn't even tell. I didn't even publicly tell half of the story that he did. But anyway, I sent you that just to say, yo, I almost want to say I told you so. That guy was a nut. And now he did some real nutty shit.
I read it. I read it on the. That was my first news story for the day, and we're all.
Was it?
Yeah, we're all shocked.
I knew I needed to send it to you. I was like, Lefty needs this one. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone, man. I'm gonna leave it alone. Other than to like to tell you, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of marijuana activists who had encounters with him too.
Oh yeah.
So,
Ed, we're online now with Pearson Crosby, who you know. We got
hey, what's happening, Pearson?
Farmer Bill and Tony.
Hey,
Hey, what's going on? I didn't know. I wasn't listening to the show, but I did send it to Lefty, and I knew he would talk about it. So that's why I'm calling in. My bad. I didn't want to interrupt whatever you're doing, Lefty and Pearson. I didn't mean to interrupt y'all show, but that to me was breaking news. Report back on me.
Crazy suicide by cop, really?
Yes, listen. And I don't want to bring race into everything, but I can just imagine if I put a big 12-inch knife over top of my head and pointed at cop and said I was trying to commit suicide by cop, and they would have obliged me. It wouldn't be a story. I wouldn't have got a story about somebody needs help. Put him in. Somebody would have been like, we need to bury weed bag. Somebody contributes to his funeral fund. But anyway, I ain't gonna get it. But that guy was nutty years ago, and like I said, he scared me years ago. And I'm not even a scareable person. And I'm admitting that he scared me. I admitted at the time that he scared me. I was worried about him.
Oh man.
And you remember, I filed charges against him and everything.
That. Yeah, I do remember.
Yes. And to me, back in the day, that to me almost felt like ratting. But I had to say about something about this guy. It was scaring me. I had to do something. Or do it myself. I didn't want to ruin my life by, sometimes you gotta act before the other person acts. And I remember having thoughts like that. Like, this dude is threatening to kill me. Like, maybe I need to do him first. Like, I had those thoughts.
Well, he made the paper. He made the paper, so.
And that's not the first time he made the paper. I don't know if you remember the other time he made the paper.
I know. I know.
And wait a minute. He other crazy stuff and blamed it on me too. Remember when he said that somebody called him up, had him online, and told him to stick his finger in his butt?
Oh my God! What?
And he blamed it on me. But you don't remember that? He was doing podcasts. Somebody called in and started threatening him. And started saying all kinds of nutty stuff. And at some point they're telling him if he didn't get up, stand up, and like stick his thumb in his butt, that they was gonna blow his house up or kill him or kill his wife or something. I don't remember the exact details.
Yeah, some
but
crazy.
He did it online, and then he blamed me. He said that I was the one that called. I was the one. First of all, I don't care if somebody called me online. Tell me to stick my thumb up my butt. I'm not sticking my thumb up my butt. Right? But you don't remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. How could I forget that?
Yeah, he had that one. He had the incident where he was at the hotel in Rahway bragging about how he was the North Jersey weed man and how this and weed man ain't shit and all this stuff. And then the police kicked the door in and busted him live.
That's right. Yeah, he was live on Facebook.
Yes. And he was still fascinated with me at that time. So he was saying he was North Jersey weed man and weed man ain't got shit. Look at this. I got 5 pounds of weed right here. I got this. I got that. I got promethazine. I got this. I got mushrooms. I got this. And then the door got kicked in.
Are you nuts? Out of your mind.
Oh, man. Oh, and then by the way, just because he had scared me and I followed up on it and I used to keep tabs on him. That was all I did. I didn't threaten him. Nothing. I just kept tabs on him. His charges miraculously disappeared. His charges turned into his case was adjudicated by what they call it. He pled guilty to an ID charge, like he gave the wrong name to the cops when they busted him. Right? This is a typical charge they do when you rat. Coincidentally, he had to move from where he lived. He went into hiding because there was a whole bunch of blood type guys in his neighborhood who now are mad at him because somebody ratted on him.
Oh.
But anyway, I don't know, whatever. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, yeah.
Well, Ed, hopefully we'll see you Monday. Cannabis Patient Awareness Day is Monday at the State House. Come on through, bring some clones. There'll be clones out there, I think. You can plant them.
Well, I got 8, 9, 4-foot plants now.
I see that.
Yeah, but anyway, it's been a good long time since I called into your show. And I was just calling because it was breaking news.
Yeah,
Breaking.
sure is.
And we even had a nickname for it. Remember, instead of calling him Michael Ward, we called him Mental Ward.
Mental Ward.
Oh my God.
And I listen. I normally would think, man, you can't laugh at a nut job. You can't laugh at a mental patient. But that mental patient threatened me. That mental patient acted like he was going to kill me. That mental patient scared me. That mental patient had my mom scared. So now he's busted for doing something mental, made the papers, got some real serious charge. I have no empathy. Zero. None. If the police had did the unthinkable, had given him, granted him his wish, personally, I would have felt safer in the world. But anyway, I will talk to you later, man. Catch y'all later. Hey, Pearson, we got to talk on the phone one day. Catch you later.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I was thinking about you the other day, and I was like, man, I got to reach out, catch up. But it looks like you're having a great time in Miami.
Yeah, the world changed for me, and Miami's great. I love it. I'm glad I did it.
Cool.
I remember there was a few people saying, no, don't do that, no, don't. And I did it anyway, and it worked out. I'm happy as fuck.
All that remodeling in Trenton looked really nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. All I can say is
Awesome.
5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I couldn't imagine where I'm at now. And I'm happy for it.
Hey,
It's because you stuck with it. You kept doing it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Stuck with it. Listen to none of the naysayers. I couldn't help it. I kept doing it. And then, of course, I kept giving the finger to the system, said I was selling weed like I'm white. NJ can't get 12. You know, I was daring the system to arrest me again, make me a big race case. It just never happened. So, anyway, once again,
Ed,
I don't want to steal.
well, real
I'm
quick,
not trying to steal your podcast.
Real quick, Chris Goldstein just joined us, and you guys actually met on the water. Didn't you guys meet on the water somewhere?
Yes, we had a great time. I saw Weed Man like Captain Jack Sparrow, like captaining a boat in Miami. It was amazing.
Yes, I don't know if he told you the whole story, but I had a rental. I have boats down there too sometimes, so I rent a boat sometimes. I had two groups of girls. One group of girls were from Rhode Island, and the other group of girls were from Portland. But they was having twerk offs. They were doing all kinds of things on the boat. When I told them, hey, I got a friend of mine on a boat over there. We're gonna pull up next to him, like give him a like twerk, like give him a show. And sure enough, we pulled up, and Chris Goldstein's eyes, I could see his eyes way across the bay, because here's all these beautiful black booties pointed at him and shaking and rattling. And I could see him grinning from ear to ear. And he had a couple other guys on the boat all looking too.
Oh, it was gorgeous. It was the full moon in Miami, and I got a picture. It's called the Strawberry Moon. So the Strawberry Moon and the twerking girls, Weed Man at the helm. It's a great photograph, man. I sent it down.
Yeah. Yo, you sent me that picture. I posted it online that same night. Yeah.
Nice. No, that was great.
Like I said, I ain't trying to steal your show, Lefty. I just had to tell you about the Mental Ward breaking news. Mental Ward. Yeah, I just had to tell you. Anyway, I'm Weed Man signing off. Peace, y'all. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. See you Monday.
Later, Edgar.
Wow.
Fun times.
Amazing. So, Chris, we're on the phone with Bill the farmer from Nebraska. So he's
Bill
on.
the farmer from Nebraska.
Yeah, Farmer Bill.
Hey, Bill the farmer from Nebraska. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm enjoying some nice weather. We finally got some rain, so it's good.
So
And
Bill,
the ganja's up to 8 feet in places, so we're
Holy shit! Nice.
Bill will be at the State House in Nebraska on Monday. He'll be at the State House.
Oh wow,
Amazing.
wow.
Amazing.
I'm gonna set up some display tables on the north side of our Capitol steps and play some music and smoke pot and just have a good time.
Yes.
Or
Yeah, man.
medicine, whichever.
So in Nebraska, instead of using a blunt wrap, do they use a corn husk? Is that what they do? Like a tamale kind of a blunt?
Tamale.
You know, I've never tried that, but I know there are papers that are made out of corn.
Really?
You know, yeah, there's a brand of papers that's made out of corn, which you don't want to be smoking corn. Probably the best papers I've seen was at the Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest Festival, Madison, Wisconsin, the longest running continual hemp fest in the world, where I met Paul Stanford years ago, went for about 10 years, but rolled up cannabis leaves was the paper roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had that too. It's a very good roll. Do you know Gary Stork in Wisconsin? Gary's a really good guy up there.
Oh, you know, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I went up there for 10 years taking my display tables. Sometimes I was the MC, and it was a good time until COVID hit. And
now, when you say display table, like what are you displaying?
Oh, like I make hemp concrete. I've got hemp fabrics, hemp foods. I started doing it. Going into Capitol with a hemp history table 10 years ago, and it has expanded into 6 tables, all 4 sides of our Capitol. I got big hemp stalks. I got some hemp stalks that are 3 to 4 inches in diameter at the base, and 10, 12 foot tall.
Wow.
We got incredible genetics here in Nebraska.
Oh man.
Low THC, but you know, there's some interest here in Nebraska, but it grows everywhere, so you have to. It's hard to grow Sinsemilla here in Nebraska because you're going to get seeds because we have so much pollen. So you just make sure that you know the male your seeds are getting. So you take your best male of good genetics and let it pollinate your females because they're going to get seeds anyway.
So how long do you think it's going to be before, like, I'm growing marijuana in my New Jersey garden and it accidentally gets pollinated with some corporate cannabis, and I go to grind up the marijuana and it's got like the Curaleaf logo on the tray, you know, I accidentally, you know.
You got to watch hemp farmers because they introduce pollen, and what they are introducing, some hemp strains are monoecious, which means that they've created male hermaphrodites for the hemp industry.
I hear Florida. I hear Governor DeSantis does not like hermaphrodites.
Probably not, but they're here to stay. In cannabis, so right now in Nebraska, I have genetics being planted that are male and female on the same plant. As ganja growers, we don't want that. And yet now it's coming in because we're too lazy to work with our own genetics. I'm getting imported seed that's contaminating my precious heirloom genetics that's developed over 150 years or so. So it's a real issue. And so, yeah, you'll probably end up, and so you have to have some type of netting that blocks out pollen.
Wow.
And
Pollen netting.
so, but
Who knew it would come to the pollen netting? I
Is that
mean,
a thing?
in New Jersey, we just want to be able to grow we just want to be able to sprout a seed. We haven't even gotten to like the pollen netting part.
Pollen netting.
yeah,
Like you're
you're
way ahead of us there.
Yeah, you're on episode 6. We're on episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been planning this for a long time. I got 50 acres of 20 miles north of Lincoln, and I've stayed here because I want to grow legal weed on my own farm. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'm not quitting.
Good for you.
No, and I can't get anybody to help here in this state because we have plenty of weed, cheaper than the legal states, not having to deal with regulations and rules and all that, and nobody hardly ever gets in trouble for it, and so it's just whatever. I got jars of crumble from dispensaries in California, cheaper than they sell them there. So it's I just can't get anybody to help and step up.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. We just had a bill drop in Pennsylvania today from a couple state senators. Pennsylvania is, of course, sort of in this. I mean, actually, it's a little bit different. Pennsylvania has a big medical marijuana program, but Pennsylvania stands out. They still arrest about 10, 12,000 people a year for just marijuana possession in Pennsylvania. In fact, it's like more than for like almost all other substances combined. So I don't know. It's funny when you talk about a place like Nebraska where people don't get arrested for it that much, and there isn't much motivation to change the law because of that.
We're decriminalized, and so
Right.
they still go through the court system, but it's not as big of issue. And people,
Yeah.
they don't even have to test our weed because everybody just says, "Yeah, it's weed. I don't care. Give me my ticket."
Well, I mean, we did that in Philly. We in Philadelphia, it's decriminalized in a bunch of cities in Pennsylvania, but they still manage to arrest 10, 12,000 people a year in the places where it's not. But yeah, it's funny, like, so what's the focus here is in the future. I mean, from on one hand, I mean, I hear you. It's tough to get people to support it. On the other hand, be careful what you wish for, because in New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and Delaware, we have seen legalization really become a corporate inspired thing and really become a corporate controlled thing.
All the time in the news and everything, the multi-state cash burners, just ruining everything. And Altria, Big Tobacco, who owns Cronus, one of the few companies that are solvent, they registered as a principal and hired big heavy hitter lobbyists in our state last year, and own one of our senators who's pushing the medical bill that includes only allows their inhaler technology and green.
That's okay. That's okay. There's 800,000 registered patients in Pennsylvania, and technically you're not supposed to smoke the marijuana or the concentrates. You're supposed to vaporize everything still, just so you know. That's why you can't buy rolling papers in a Pennsylvania dispensary, because you're not supposed to smoke it, really.
Pearson,
we aren't even allowed vaporization. It's got to be an inhaler.
That's okay. They were talking about possible rectal nebulization here in New Jersey at one point. So,
Pearson, did you have a question?
No, I gotta get. I'm getting off. I just wanted to show you So I.
Oh wow, that's Alaska. Look at Alaska. Look at that.
So you see that hill over there? So you got the oil pipeline, the corner, and then a quarter, and that entire hill's mine. I just bought it, 317 acres.
Wow, very cool.
Nice work. It looks beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if you all heard of the Alaska Boneyard, the mammoth bones and stuff that they're pulling out of the ground there or here, right down. Yeah, I'm on gold. This is Goldstream. This is Goldstream Road. It's the most profitable gold valley in besides the right there. There's actually I own like a half an acre of a whole historical site that's a 90-mile trench that they used to use for water pressure with for gold mining. And yeah, I actually, the reason I wanted to talk to, I thought of Ed the other day was because we're thinking about trying to put a like psilocybin church up there.
Wow.
Cool. First burn passes
So,
and weed's legal in Alaska, right?
Oh yeah. I could have that whole. I could put in a permit for that entire hill to grow. But what I'm doing on this side of the hill is solar panels and agrivoltaic. The electric company just okayed my 2-megawatt system, so they're going to purchase all the energy I produce off of that hill.
Cool.
And yeah, I'm starting a 50-acre veterans program up here for cultivation and agriculture. And yeah, so
I need to come up there and help you. This is Farmer
yeah,
Bill.
we got, so please come up. Like I said, I got 317 acres. We got a trailer right on top of the hill. I'll send you a picture when I get up there. I got to head over there now. But yeah, I'm glad I hopped on. I just want to say bye, and this is more longer winded than I wanted to be, but it's great seeing y'all and doing God's work, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. You too.
Nice to see and hear you, Pearson.
Yeah, great seeing y'all. Take care.
Thanks, Pearson. Talk to you Monday.
Great.
Yeah, a little taste of what we're gonna go through Monday here. We got little states, everybody, states talking to each other, comparing notes. I love it.
Yeah, it's a cool deal. I need that once in a while to realize there's other people than just me out there.
Right? I know.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's the truth around here. But for sure, because I'm pretty much by myself, lived outside all my life, worn out 5 teepees and pretty in the woods, so whatever. We're making progress, that's all I can say. And so it would be great to have some fun on the Capitol steps on Monday with people from around the country.
Yes, sir. Oh, so my second question to you, Bill, was what is your favorite munchie food?
Yeah, whatever's around, but ice cream's good. Chocolate ice cream or chocolate. I'm pretty much just chocolate. That's about all I eat.
That sounds good.
Can you grow chocolate bars in Nebraska? Do they have chocolate bar plants there? Because that would be really cool. Just saying.
We can't grow chocolate, but we do have artisan chocolate makers here in Nebraska. We are about as sophisticated as everybody else on the planet. We're except for legalization of weed, that's the problem. But
Well, you know, again, Pennsylvania's got that problem too. It's don't worry. And again, they're arresting a heck of a lot more people in Pennsylvania right now for it,
Sure.
which
And
is
you
super
know, they
sucky.
do not want to give up that war on drugs. And you know, a lot of our laws, like what is it? Like you said in New Jersey, it's the Cannabis Control Board, where we still have to control it. We still have to make. There's always in the laws somebody's going to be breaking the law because we keep it that way. And until that total prohibition is ended, we quit doing that. But it's a big cash cow.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm trying to figure out who makes money on this right now, other than the very, very guys at the very, very top. You know, there's just not any spread out on that wealth, especially here in New Jersey. So, you know, we're really up against something interesting in New Jersey here, where big companies have announced that they're pulling out of California, they're pulling out of Colorado,
Yep.
they're pulling out of all these states to focus on New Jersey, because, you know, even though we're trying to celebrate some Black-owned small businesses getting a retail permit, you know, I looked at their menus and they're stuck. You know, even if you're a Black small business owner in New Jersey and you get a retail permit, you are reselling corporate cannabis because they control the wholesale.
Yep. And like you look at Illinois, you know, it's been a couple years now, and they still don't have any social equity licensing. And it keeps
Well, but
tied up
again,
in courts.
there's a pretty insidious game going on here. I was talking with a lawyer about this today, and you know, look, I've been there when large corporate lawyers and lobbyists make threats, and they're like, you know, I was there when a large corporate operator was on a phone call with some folks in Delaware a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh, look, Chris, you don't want us to have to compete with these small businesses because there's only so much real estate, you know, available for medical cannabis, and you know, we could essentially like, you know, buy it all." And that kind of attitude and is what's playing out. People are wondering why more and more of the conditional permit owners aren't translating over to an annual license, especially when it comes to growing. My argument is very simply that these large corporations are capriciously, you know, protecting they're very aggressively protecting their turf, especially when it comes to wholesale.
Right.
And I think that making the small business operators beholden to these large guys for that wholesale weed, that's not going to work, because I've seen them play it the other way up in Maine. You know, Cureleaf is charging. Actually, I looked at Cureleaf's menu the other day. Lefty, they actually have $150 medical ounces of Cureleaf now. Do you see that?
Anything you'd want to smoke?
I mean, I'm not here to say the quality. I'm just saying that since they pulled their license and gave it back to them, all of a sudden their prices came down. And $150 an ounce is, you know, all of a sudden that's a dramatic decrease from what they're usually charging, even for the medical customer. So that's a pretty big decrease.
Huge.
Yeah, I mean, I remember
And
like
the
last
quality plummets.
the quality at these has never been high. Nobody's ever come out of these places, even paying top dollar, and said, that's the best weed I ever smoked. Everybody's always like, oh my God, that is the driest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and even if you threw a Bovita pack in it, I mean, you could throw an eighth of that shit in a swimming pool and it would just suck it up and still be dry. It's like terrible, you know? So, you know, but that's the thing. It's funny. I saw the other side of this. I was in Costa Rica a couple of months ago, and you know, it's funny because you talk about a place where marijuana is decriminalized, but they have no retail market. Look at all of Mexico and Costa Rica right now. They've decriminalized possession. They've decriminalized low-level dealing, and they've kind of worked on bills, but they don't really have a solid plan for any retail structure in those countries. What is kind of interesting is that the weed is pretty good down there, but like when I was in Costa Rica, people have been asking me like what the weed is like. And the Costa Rican weed, I mean, you know, we were in a rainforest, so it was like wet and, you know, locally grown. It didn't have seeds in it. It looked really good. It looked just like very raw compared to what we're used to as shelf-ready cannabis here in the US. Like it wasn't perfectly trimmed. It was not perfectly cured. But once they come up with those techniques and understand that that's what especially tourist consumers want out of their weed in Central America, holy cow, the weed in Costa Rica and Mexico is generally good. It's just that it's not trimmed and it's not cured. But I find it interesting that a lot of Central America and Mexico are now in the same boat as, say, Nebraska, where they've decriminalized marijuana, but they have no retail structure. And like you were mentioning before there, like there's no impetus to push for a retail structure. People are generally kind of okay with the way things are.
Yep, it's you don't get tested weed, you get rejects a lot of times, but you know, it's still
Rejects.
Chris, did
Yeah.
your weed was cured by the campfire?
Oh, you mean the Costa Rican weed? Yeah, it had like I'm so not kidding about this. There was like a barbecue bacon like smell and flavor to it, and I had like a little glass jar from that I put it in, and after a couple days, I would open the jar, and I was really kind of like rationing myself at some points, and I opened the jar, and it really smelled like bacon bits. I was just like, wow, like, woo. But you'd smoke a big joint of it and you'd feel fine. I mean, it really has that raw flavor. The Central American weed, like, you know, the stuff that's marketed as hemp in the United States, they practically give it away here. And it's like low THC, but it looks good. It's got that, looks like a great, great bud. But it's got a distinct, that kind of like low THC weed has a really distinct smell and flavor to it. Very grassy kind of a flavor and smell. And the Central American and Mexican weed had that grassy flavor. Although in Costa Rica, there was a guy that we encountered. And we were just like, look, we're looking for like more American buds. And dude, this guy knew exactly what we were talking about. And he had exactly what we asked for. And it was like dry, shelf-ready marijuana like you'd find anywhere in the United States. So pretty impressive. But then I got to Miami and I hung out at Weedman's joint, you know, down there in Miami. And I encountered the first like American weed I had seen in like 4,000 miles. Like in like 8 weeks, I hadn't smoked like American weed. And it was so good. Like we have such good weed here in the US. Like seriously, like as much as I note the prices and everything like that, generally there is there is a consistent product in the United States. Consumers demand a certain kind of marijuana. It's like perfectly cured. It's perfectly trimmed. The buds look good. There's the shelf ready quality to it. And there's often, it's got some good smell to it. And man, you know, as soon as I got to Miami, that's the kind of weed I got. And I was so fucking happy. Like, I can't tell you, like, I just sat out back at Weedman's joint there and like rolled joint after joint after joint, and just like smoked it, just like, oh, United States weed, so good.
Yep, you know, the one thing about our perfectly trimmed weed is that most of the trichomes get trimmed off. And so we have wonderful trim, but, you know, so there is a little thing about severely trimmed weed that you get sometimes. You've got a lot of those trichomes chopped off.
I'm here to tell you that in Panama and Costa Rica, a lot of those trichomes are falling off in the barbecue as they cure it. So, you know, it's like, it's like,
but a lot of our commercial weed, it isn't cured in jars for 30 days or 60 days, and unless you're your own grower or know somebody, you don't get that perfectly cured weed like we could, because it's rushed to commercial dispensaries.
no, it's been a long time, even, you know, even in the craft market, since I've seen like some frosty buds, you know, that used to be like, you'd see that come out and you'd see buds just like frosty with trichomes and like just perfectly loved and cared for and cured. But I haven't seen those in a long time. And it is weird for me. I feel fucking super old for saying that right now.
I grow my weed, gets seeds, and I leave Before I even harvest it, it's got most of those fan leaves, everything's already off it. When I twist a joint and break up a bud, my fingers stick together. And I don't even
Right.
have the most potent, incredible genetics there are out there. But when I get commercial weed, it's just, there's nothing. My fingers never, I can make finger hash from my weed that I grow, and I can't even get any stickiness from any buds I get commercially here. And it may be different in dispensaries, but I've been to a few and I don't see it.
I mean, I hunt around, especially like when I was in California this year picking, before I started my trip, I was in Ventura. And Ventura is kind of interesting because it's one of the towns in California where there's no dispensaries. It's an opt-out town. But all the towns around Ventura have dispensaries, adult use and medical. And they're starting to have more lounges out there in California now. The dispensaries, as part of their competition, really have a place to hang out, eat some popcorn. I did find that, that was interesting. Between Weedman's joint in Miami and this one spot, I'm trying to remember their name. They're called the Wheelhouse in California, right outside Ventura. I for the first time, because I don't drink alcohol, so like going to the bar has not ever been really like something that I do. But all of a sudden I'm like, it's like 8 o'clock. I'm like, I'm gonna go down and smoke some joints at Weedman's because I had nothing else to do in Miami but sit on the boat. So like all of a sudden, like there were cannabis lounges that I was treating like an alcohol consumer would treat a bar. And I found myself like all of a sudden in touch with that kind of like social environment and realizing like really what the potential of cannabis social spaces could be. I have to say, as much fun as Ed's having out there on his boat, and it was so freaking awesome to see him on the boat with all the girls and everything. The truth is I spent like 2 or 3 nights hanging out at his place, just being a regular, like, lounge patron over there, eating at the food truck, smoking joints out back. And again, it is so nice to have a space like that in a city where you're a tourist. It is really something that we're missing. And prohibition has gone on so long that there's this like stunted growth in the cannabis social space, right? And we're going to have to like really do more and more of this. I talk to restaurant owners all the time, and I'm like, look, you don't need a lounge permit to be a cannabis friendly establishment to say that it's okay to smoke weed out front before or after you have your meal, to say it's okay to smoke weed around your establishment or come in smelling like weed. So, I think that that's okay. And I think that we need more of a culture for that. I was pointing out the other day that, and I was pointing this out last summer, actually, New Jersey has a dog beach and we have a nude beach, but you're not allowed to smoke marijuana on any beach in New Jersey. So I think that we need a weed beach. Like there needs to be like one freaking beach where we're allowed to smoke weed.
Bayonne.
I'm
up for suggestions.
It leads to that education of responsible cannabis users that our mainstream society, and that we need our spaces, and we've got.
I don't know. Again, though, like I don't know. Like I don't feel like cannabis consumers have ever been fringe. Like it's 2023. Like Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg do videos together. Willie Nelson is in the Hall of Fame. Like cannabis consumers are so mainstream in 2023. It's hilarious. But like that's the thing. We're so mainstream, but like we don't have a beach. That's so weird. Like if Willie Nelson wanted to smoke a joint on a beach in New Jersey, it wouldn't be allowed.
Yep, and it's that stigmatism, that war on drugs, that the whole thing that we've lived with for so long, that it takes a long time to convince everybody, or until everybody against it dies, one or the other. And it's not just old people that are against it. There's a young, purer than thou force out there that considers it the devil.
Look, it's the first way that people are jerks to whole groups of people is to do it in the name of marijuana. But we've known that for 100 years. So Lefty, on Monday, what should I expect to come do in Trent?
Trenton's going to be a madhouse. There's going to be people giving away weed everywhere. There'll be a dab bar. There'll be food. There'll be people smoking cannabis. There'll be politicians walking to and fro.
Do you think?
Lobbyists. I would hope so.
Are they in session Monday? They just finished. Didn't they finish their budget?
I think Monday. Are they done now? They finished for the year?
I don't know. Once they finish their budget, they won't come back for a few
That's
days.
it then. I think Monday was our last day. So when we get there at 11, Tommy Lyons will be there from Maryland. And Maryland goes first, Jim Miller, and then Connecticut. So I'm going to be busy doing the engineering and the producing. So Jim's going to be the New Jersey host. You're going to help with the New Jersey hosting. Got Adam. You guys got to host the show because I'm going to be busy making sure everyone gets on and off on time, and I'll be busy.
You're going to be stage managing. You're going to be stage managing and producing.
That's me, which is fun. I like it. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Just keep passing me the joints and the dab rig, and I'll be fine.
You got it. You got it.
Make sure I'm hydrated and weeded.
What's the weather look like for Monday? Did you look at the weather?
It looks good. It looks like it's gonna be a good day. So
all right.
Either way, I'm ready. I got 2 huge tents. I'm ready either way.
Keep the sound guy weeded.
And I think New
Oh
Jersey
my God.
Urban Hippies bringing pools, little wading pools to swim in. Possibly.
That's funny. That's pretty funny. All right. Well, that sounds good. Any other questions for me?
No, we're set, man. We're excited and we're good to go for Monday.
All right, sounds good. I am gonna bring joints and potentially Lego minifigures to play with on air. So, there you go.
Right on, brother. Thank you.
All right, you guys have a great night. It was great to see you and talk to you.
You too, Chris. Thank you.
See you later, Chris. Have a good one.
All right, have a great night.
It was a pleasure.
All right, so let me find
Sounds like a great, fun time all over the country. So I'm privileged to be part of it. It's going to be fun.
I was in Trenton last year. I'm going to be a little jealous this year, but I swore up and down I'd make sure someone was sitting on the California grass, so I'll be there.
California grass.
There you go. That's what we get here in Nebraska is California grass. Grown specifically for it.
We're happy to make sure it's still available.
Sure. So we can get our own. We're good. We're working on it.
Well, I want to thank CMMNJ, Cannasense, UFCW, Local 152, JacksonStorms.com, Smoking Monkey, Arlo Glass. That's you.
That's me.
It's you, Arlo Glass. What are you making with Arlo Glass? Anything? You got anything in the burner?
No, the kiln is actually in storage right now. I'm in the process of moving my studio, and we actually have a new company. I won't annoy you with the new logos and stuff yet, but we're now Arlo and Stitch.
Arlo and Stitch. Right.
Because I got the new commercial embroidery machine. So once we launch, it's going to be Arlo and Stitch from now on.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll pencil that in there.
Sounds like an attorney's office.
We got oprahmachine.com, Pure Puff Lifestyle Shop, and sativacross.org. You can always donate to sativacross.org. Farmer Bill, every week we have a list of all of our friends and family that have passed on that were either waiting for cannabis or were using cannabis or that needed cannabis.
Yep.
And this list has grown in the last, we've done this for quite a few years now.
That's like 8 years at least, 10 years.
State House has been 10 years, so I think it's been 10 years. I think,
Wow,
yeah, it's
quite
been
a
that long.
deal.
But it started with Cheryl Miller, which is Jim Miller's wife. She had multiple sclerosis, and Jim Miller used to push her bed and her wheelchair all around New Jersey so that she can go around and get arrested for activism with cannabis. And amazing person. And she changed my mind about cannabis because when I first met her, I was like, "Oh, let's legalize cannabis for, so I can get stoned." And I figured, "Oh yeah, pot gives you the munchies. So yeah, it helps cancer patients." And then I met Cheryl and I found out that pot does a lot more than give you the munchies. I found out about the endocannabinoid system, and I learned a lot from meeting Cheryl Miller, and it changed my whole outlook on medicine and medical cannabis. So yeah, right on Cheryl Miller.
I always
It's been
I
a
always say it, and it bears repeating that the activism that Cheryl and Jim did saved my life.
Yeah, that's good stuff,
Yep,
man.
no, it saved a lot of people, and those patients I know at the Great Midwest Harvest Festival in Madison, we pushed patients up every year up to the Capitol, 12, 14 blocks up to the Capitol steps. Yep, and the last time I was there, the one lady wasn't there anymore. Ruth. No, not Ruth. I'll remember her name, but yeah, because she hadn't made it and still doesn't have medical cannabis there in Wisconsin.
Yeah, we have 1 out of 10 patients die every day. Sabina Rose was a 15-month-old baby waiting for cannabis. The government made her jump through hoops and waste 4 months of her life jumping through hoops so that a 1-year-old could talk to a psychiatrist. The law said at that time that a 1-year-old had to go to a psychiatrist to get cannabis. So, what does a 1-year-old tell a psychiatrist, and what does a psychiatrist ask a 1-year-old? And why would you waste 4 months of this girl's time? Because she's dead, and that time could have been spent helping her. What a waste!
Psychiatrist would even think about talking to a 1-year-old and think that is something that is worthwhile. Just insane.
Insanity.
Just insane.
Insanity. It's crazy. And this poor girl died. She died. And yet nobody's being held accountable for their ignorance and incompetence.
Nope. Nope. And we're so worried about keeping our children safe. Yep. Yeah, I live in a crazy state, I know.
And that was Christie. That was Governor Christie holding all that up. At that time, that was Governor Christie. Can't even blame Sweeney for that. I got to blame Governor Christie for that one.
Yep, I know. I remember him for sure.
Then we got Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Polly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lulu, Becky, and Jeff.
And that's just a drop in the bucket of all of them.
So we end the show with the Ode of Remembrance. This is written 100 years ago, back during World War I, and it was written for war. But as an activist and seeing what activism has done to the sick and dying in New Jersey, these stanzas do fit for activism. So thanks, Bill. Thanks, Tony. We're going to end this with the stanza. And it starts like this.
I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, man. You're the best. Talk to you guys Monday. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning,